am with some good news and some greater news, and we'll leave it with that. The good news is that we have ran up on, well, what am I doing here? Hang on a minute, guys. Yeah. Okay. News crash for the day. Police news briefing on possible capture of Golden State Killer. A 72-year-old ex-cop has been arrested. Now, this means that this killer person, whatever, has been missing since the 70's, and he was doing all kinds of awful things. And I'm going to run you a little bit of briefness on this, as they are having a live newscast, but I'm going to let you hear about 30 minutes of it and go from there with the rest of the good news. Let's see. Get there.
I'm Kirsten Holmes. We're cutting into programming here to take you live to the press conference at the Sacramento District Attorney's Office about an update on the East area race. Again, I'm Kirsten Holmes. We're cutting into programming to bring you a live press conference. We're going to listen in.
Sacramento police holds press conference after possible capture of the Golden State Killer.
I'll move them, but I'm trying to get some help. Thank you. We need enough room for just a fold. No, so right here. Thanks.
Right now they're making sure all the cameras and microphones and all that is together. So hang on one second here.
All right, so we're here again at the Sacramento District Attorney's Office, where we're getting an update on the East area rapist, who's also known as the Golden State Killer. This has been a situation that's plagued the California coastline since 1970, and they believe that they've made an arrest in the case. We have an update. There is a man behind bars, but we have not confirmed yet that the man that's behind bars is indeed the East area rapist, and we're waiting on that update now. Here's DA Anne-Marie Schubert.
This is real close.
I don't know. My name is Anne-Marie Schubert. I'm the District Attorney of Sacramento County. Before I start, I'd like to just do some introductions on who is here today. We have, in addition to myself, Sacramento Sheriff Scott Jones, Ventura County District Attorney Greg Totten, Orange County District Attorney Tony Rakakis, Contra Costa County District Attorney Dinah Becton, Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley, Sacramento FBI Special Agent in Charge Sean Regan, United States Attorney for the Northern District McGregor Scott, Assemblyman Jim Cooper, Bruce Harrington, the brother of Keith Harrington, Irvine Police Department Chief Mike Hamill, and our Crime Lab Director Chip Pollock. Let me first by saying this. The answer has always been in Sacramento. For over 40 years, countless victims have waited for justice. Over these years, hundreds of individuals have sought justice for these victims and their families. Many have dedicated their virtual entire professions to seeking this answer. For many of us, it was more than a professional commitment. It became personal for many of us. For me, here in Sacramento County, in June of 1976, I was 12. I grew up in the East area of Sacramento, near the cluster of where these crimes began. My sisters ranged from 10 to 16 at the time. As I have said many times over the last 18 years, at least for me, for us here in Sacramento, it was a time of innocence in 1976. No one locked their doors. Kids rode their bikes to school. Parents let their children play outside. The only thing we were told as a family was you just needed to be home before dark. We did not have things like cell phones or social media. And then for all of us here in this community that lived in this community during this time, it all changed. For anyone that lived here in this community, here in Sacramento, the memories are very vivid. You can ask anyone that grew up here. Everyone has a story. But it must be remembered that it was not just Sacramento, that this case deeply affected this entire state.
Oh, not bad.
And then in June of 2016, at the 40th anniversary for the beginning of this series, the East Area Rapists, a press conference was held here in Sacramento, hosted by the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department and the FBI, attended by many agencies across California that have dedicated their careers and professions to coming to some kind of answer. The message was clear in 2016. The magnitude of this case demanded that it be solved.
Yes, ma'am.
There were upwards of 50 rapes, 12 murders, crimes that spanned 10 years across at least 10 different counties, northern, central, and southern California.
Yep.
And it was that day in June of 2016 that we, in public safety, reiterated our commitment to the victims and to justice. In this case, the East Area Rapist, the Golden State Killer. And it was that day that we embarked upon what I call our journey for justice. A journey by people across borders, across all professions, police officers, FBI agents, crime lab employees, victim advocates, prosecutors, community leaders, elected officials, all with one mission: to find the answer, to give victims a voice, and ultimately to identify this person and bring him to justice. We brought teams together not long after that press conference. We dedicated more resources, more people, and we created what I have called Team Justice, an incredible collaboration of individuals with one mission. There are things about that journey and that commitment that each of us knew. The answer was and always was going to be in the DNA. We knew we could and should solve it using the most innovative DNA technology available at this time. We all knew that it would take passion. We all knew that it would take persistence. Last Wednesday at 8:15 in the evening, I received an email from the daughter of Sherry Domingo, who was murdered in Southern California. Her name is Debbie. She was 15 at the time. Last Wednesday, she emailed, in essence, I'm going to paraphrase. Hi, Anne-Marie. I thought the editing for the recent documentary was brilliant. She quoted from the show, quote, "This case will be solved because of sheer persistence."
Amen.
She went on to say, "I have those words posted in a few places in my home and my workplace, so I can see them at various times throughout the day. Thank you for that persistence. I have faith." We all knew as part of this team that we were looking for a needle in a haystack, but we also all knew that the needle was there. In the last 6 days, and I emphasize the last 6 days, that passion, that persistence, and the knowledge finally came to an answer in this building behind us here, our crime lab. Crime lab employees, DNA analysts who worked tirelessly in the last few days to provide that answer. Yesterday, an arrest warrant was issued, a complaint was filed charging that individual with 2 counts of murder with special circumstances for the murder of Brian and Katie Maggiore here in Sacramento in February 1978. It is fitting that today is National DNA Day. We found the needle in the haystack, and it was right here in Sacramento. And with that, I would like to introduce our Sheriff, Scott Jones.
Good afternoon. Before I talk a little bit about this case, I'd like to make just a couple preliminary comments. When I became sheriff in Sacramento in 2010, there were very few outstanding cases that drew the passion and the interest and the dogged determination to solve as the East Area Rapist. The sheriff that I took over from, Sheriff John McGinnis, who's here with us today, told me about the importance of it. And I don't know that I fully appreciated it at that time, but I can tell you that without exception, weekly, sometimes more, I get telephone calls or emails to this day from former employees, former detectives, community members from all over this country that believe that they know or at least have some information on who the East Area Rapist was. I committed then to do everything that I could to solve it. I had a lot of conversations early on with District Attorney Schubert about how we could do it. And those discussions really touched the passion of both of us to solve this case. Both of us committed the best and brightest, our hand-picked folks, to oversee the resolution of this case, and gave virtually unlimited resources and freedom to pursue whatever leads and technology currently existed. And I can tell you that over the last few days, as information started to point towards this individual, we started some surveillance. We were able to get some discarded DNA, and we were able to confirm what we thought we already knew, that we had our man. And yesterday afternoon, in a perfectly executed arrest, my detectives arrested James Joseph D'Angelo, 72 years old, living in Citrus Heights. I can tell you that although it was DNA, ultimately, that led us down the right road, there were a lot of places that road could have led. I don't want to underscore, I can't underscore enough, the absolute human factor, the dogged determination of not only the detectives working on this case, but the passion of the district attorney, myself, the community, and the victims. All too often we forget about talking about the victims. And today, we at least brought the first step towards closure for those victims of these horrendous crimes. So I want to thank not only the district attorney and the crime lab and the DNA that helped us get here, but my own detectives and the detectives from all of these folks represented by the leaders standing behind me. When we put together this working group 2 years ago and brought in the FBI, who was more than happy to be part of this team and effort, we had no way of knowing that we'd be standing here talking about the resolution of all of these crimes. So I have to thank them and again underscore the importance of the human factor and the dogged determination and passion of the individuals and human beings that led us down the right road to this individual today. I want to now introduce the District Attorney of Ventura County, Mr. Greg Todd.
Good morning. I'm very pleased to announce that this morning in Ventura County, we have filed capital murder charges against Mr. D'Angelo for the March 1980 murders of Lyman and Charlene Smith. Our complaint alleges 2 counts of first-degree murder with 3 special circumstances, namely multiple murders, murder during the commission of a rape, and murder during the commission of a burglary. And while this filing is just the beginning of the prosecution of Mr. D'Angelo, it is the culmination of a decades-long, unrelenting investigation that's singularly focused on bringing this rapist and killer to justice. The arrest and charging of DeAngelo, frankly, would not have been possible without the visionary and innovative leadership of my friend, Sacramento District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert. And I want to thank her for doing such a wonderful job in this effort. She had the foresight to put together a statewide task force of, as the sheriff mentioned, some of the best and brightest law enforcement professionals in the country. I also want to thank Sheriff Scott Jones for the tremendous resources they devoted to this investigation and for the brilliantly executed apprehension of DeAngelo. I also want to thank my own sheriff's department for their great work in the crime lab and in the investigation, as well as the Ventura Police Department, which was the original investigating agency of the Lyman and Charlene Smith murder. This 1980 murder has long been a source of fear and angst in the neighborhood in which it occurred, in the community, and indeed throughout all of Ventura County. This is a case that, much like the rapes that occurred here in the Sacramento area, literally struck terror in the hearts of Ventura County residents. It also, as we know, was a source of great frustration for law enforcement over a prolonged period of time. In fact, this murder was among the first cases I was ever assigned to work on as a young law clerk in the district attorney's office in 1981. At that time, we had no idea that this killer was connected with so many other crimes. But thankfully, with the advent of DNA in the late 1980s, our understanding of this case, its depth, its complexity, its geographic reach, and the sheer scope of violent crimes changed forever. We recognized at that time we were dealing with a serial killer. And at that time, at a time when law enforcement is unfortunately under so much criticism, I want the public to know that the work on this case reflects the very best, the very highest standards in the noble, dedicated, and courageous police profession. The men and women of this task force devoted incalculable hours, tens of thousands of hours, to this case. Throughout that effort, they never gave up. They never lost their resolve. They never relented. And today's announcement of charges being filed against this man, this killer, this rapist, is a direct result of their effort. And so now a new phase begins. And as we commence the charging and prosecution of DeAngelo, this too will be a team effort involving many jurisdictions working collaboratively and collectively together. Beyond the significant court proceedings that lie ahead and the immense investigation that is still ongoing as we speak, we are committed, we are determined, and we will, God willing, hold this man fully accountable for his crimes. Thank you, and it's now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Tony Lukakis, District Attorney of Orange County.
Joseph James DeAngelo has been called a lot of things by law enforcement. He's been called the East Side Rapist. He's been called the Visalia Ransacker, the original Night Stalker, and the Golden State Killer. Today, it's our pleasure to call him defendant. His 12-year reign of terror lasted from 1974 through May 4th of 1986. He started with ransacking, sexual assaults, rape, moved down the state from Sacramento County, ending in Orange County. From 1980 to 1986, when he was committing his murders in Orange County, I was a member of the Orange County District Attorney's homicide panel and aware of these unsolved cases, and just hoping and wishing that someday we would be able to find out who this killer was. The quest to solve this case was, of course, very personal to Mr. Bruce Harrington. His brother and sister-in-law were murdered in the most god-awful way. And he worked with the Orange County District Attorney's Office and other offices to write and support an initiative that later became Proposition 69. And Prop 69 was a proposition that was turned into law, and it was a proposition that required everybody arrested for a felony in this state and some misdemeanors to give a DNA sample. And it very, very substantially increased the DNA database of California. In Orange County, still keeping this case in mind, by the way, that case was a strong incentive to work on developing this database, the California State Database, which now has about 2 million profiles in the database. In the meantime, the Orange County District Attorney's Office started our own local DNA database, and we put about 170,000 DNA profiles of individuals who committed crime in Orange County in our database. All the time, we had this case in mind, eventually hoping to solve this case. But we've been working vigorously together with this task force that you've been hearing about. We've been working with them for since the original meeting that District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert put together here in Sacramento. And Anne Marie, I want to thank you for doing that. It was a great thing to re-spark this investigation, to put this task force together. It was something I'm sure all of the different agencies throughout the county who were involved had the case in mind, always wanted to solve the case, worked on it whenever they could. But with this task force, it was a concerted effort. We put resources on it. We put full-time people on it. And I want to thank the people in my office, the people who worked tirelessly on this case to work to attempt to solve the case. And I just think it's wonderful that it was eventually solved in Sacramento. And I want to take the time to a little bit of time, just a moment, to recognize or remember the victims from Orange County. August 19th, 1980, the defendant, Joseph D'Angelo, is accused of brutally murdering 24-year-old Keith Harrington and 28-year-old Patrice Harrington in their Dana Point home. He's also accused of raping and sexually assaulting Patrice. On February 5th, 1981, the defendant is accused of raping, sexually assaulting, and murdering 28-year-old Manuela Whithume in Irvine. 3 months later, years later, on May 4th, 1986, D'Angelo is accused of raping, sexually assaulting, and murdering 18-year-old Janelle Cruz in her home.
And I was running around back then. I mean, not running around,
many
but
years,
I was single. And
that this case would begin and end with DNA.
all that good stuff.
This defendant's been able to live free in a nice suburb
in all them areas. LA was my hangout spot.
Our team is going to work hard to make sure that he never gets out.
This is why I thank God every day I'm still alive.
We're going to be working together to make determinations about what the team's going to be that tries him, where he's going to be tried, and so forth. All of those things are going to be answered. And
He don't need no trial. Just put him in
note,
front of a firing
in
squad.
2016, myself, my office, worked very hard with Ventura County District Attorney Greg Totten and with Sacramento County District Attorney Anna Marie Schubert to keep and to reform the death penalty. And that was a successful effort. It was a hard effort, but it was a successful effort.
Yep.
So now, as we proceed forward with this case, that remains a relevant effort. I just want to say that finally, after all these years, the haunting question of who committed these terrible crimes has been put to rest.
Sure enough have. Finally.
Mr. Bruce Harrington is here.
And murder has no
You've
statute.
heard his name. I want to introduce you to Mr. Bruce Harrington. Mr. Harrington, if you would step forward, please.
"51 rapes and 12 murders. Today, I'd like to speak to the multi-generation, hundreds and hundreds of multi-generational victims of this staggering crime spree. It is time for all victims to breathe and to take measure one last time, to bring closure to the anguish that we've all suffered for the last 40 some odd years.
40 years.
It is time for the victims to begin to heal. So long overdue.
Right. Way overdue.
For law enforcement, bravo.
Amen.
Bravo, bravo. Their tenacity, their patience, their unrelenting focus. A shout out for Tony Ratakis, for Steve Cooley, for Lisa Kahn, Marie Schubert, Jan Scully, Larry Poole. The names go on, and we've known many, many of them over the years. Today is also a reaffirmation of the power and the public safety that's associated with forensic DNA technology. I began my quest in the mid-90s when DNA finally came of force into the world of forensic science. My brother and his wife were killed in 80.
20
So
years.
it was 15 years until we finally heard that there was a DNA sample taken from our crime scene. And as the years rolled on, there were other DNA samples that became common to one unknown perpetrator.
Listen real close. What he has to say.
It's been a struggle to bring DNA in California to the forefront of that forensic crime scene investigation tool. Surprisingly, when I looked at the situation in the late 90s, California was a laggard. Virginia, Florida, some of the other more progressive states on the East Coast were light years ahead of California. I spent time in Sacramento in the early 2000s, appearing before Assembly and Senate Public Safety Committees, pleading that they embrace the power of DNA. And frankly, I ran into a buzzsaw of opposition.
Nope. Listen. Check this out.
So in 2003, it became apparent that nothing was going to happen through Sacramento. Senator Burton and the Senate Public Safety Committee, my nemesis, I shamed you then and I shame you now.
Uh-huh.
You were wrong. DNA, what is it all about? It's a three-legged stool. The DNA with a powerful database allows the sample to be checked against all cases, against those that have been wrongly accused, against those that have been wrongly convicted and are sitting in prison.
Yep.
Over the years, innocence projects have flourished at law schools in particular, using DNA to try and exonerate those wrongly committed. I hope they continue. They are a robust and active part of the harnessing of DNA technology.
Yep.
DNA also solves current crimes. This isn't a current crime, that's an old crime, but it's finally solved by DNA.
Amen.
DNA also looks out and cuts down on future crime by using that database to exonerate those that have been wrongly suspicioned and otherwise allow current crimes and to be solved efficiently. I end with a plea to the voters because we are back circulating another petition this year, right now. Go out to your Walmart, go out to your markets, and you'll find people gathering signatures.
Listen, real close.
There is a Keep California Safe proposition, just like there was the DNA Prop 69 petition back in 2004. But here we now in spring and summer of 18, filing another petition to build up, to improve, to build upon and create an even more robust DNA database in California. We need signatures. We need 500,000 signatures by mid-June. It'll be on the November ballot. Vote for it.
Amen.
And you're going to ask yourself, why is it that we're having to circulate a signature petition again? And I would tell you, the Burton acolytes that are still controlling the public safety committees in the Assembly and the Senate again have disappointed their job and made a mockery of the name of their committee, the Public Safety Committee.
Yep.
So vote for that proposition. And again, to the entire reservoir of victims out there, my sadness is with you. For the 51 ladies who were brutally raped in this crime scene, sleep better tonight. He isn't coming through the window.
Listen, real close.
He's now in jail and he's history. Thank you.
There you go. You hear that? He's now in jail and he is history. Better known as he is pretty much dead as dead can be at 72-year-old. Ooh, lordy, lordy. I'm glad he's behind bars, and I'm hoping they'll do the death sentence within the next 3 days. But knowing them, they're going to drag it out for God knows how long, or somebody's going to just get stupid and kill him in jail or in prison. Because there ain't no getting out. Murder has no statute, and them 50 women and people he's killed and done the things he's done, he's done. You get what I'm saying? Now, for good news, other good news, should I say. I went to the food pantry today and got me some food for the week, month, whatever. And in the process of waiting, because the line was like 2 hours long, and this late in the month too. I went and stopped at a little thrift store, and I got me some items. One is to do my CD crafts with that I paint. I will show you some before I show you the deal. The toy I got today. CD crafts I do. Okay. I'll show you a little hand load of these. There you go. All right. Let me find my mouse first. Drop that. There you go. Now, these are what I call the CD crafts. Right there. See? I paint them and then I polyurethane them. And they can be coasters. Okay. I did these by hand. And I've got some with magnets that you can put on your refrigerator or stove or freezer or whatever. And do them that way. So these are like the samples of floor coverings that you get from like Menards and stuff like that, the little samples. I cut them up. Then I got me some peel and stick wallpaper, done them with that, that's what these are, peel and stick wallpaper. This is by hand painting. Painted. Painted. These are all coasters. Painted. All on CDs. Painted. See if I turn on the light, maybe that will help you a little more. See if that, yeah, it might give you a little idea. Painted. I might do these all over again. I don't like the way they look. But I think they kind of look cool, but not the way I want them to turn out. And you'll see why here in just a minute. That's all painted. There's something I'm looking at. Like I said, you can have them with the foam sheet on the back to sit on the table, or you can have them with the magnet on the back to put on your refrigerator, freezer, stove, whatever metal surface you got. There's that one. These are all used CDs. This is painted. That one's painted. That one's painted. This is what a spinner would do. That was just a fast job on that one. I'll put this one with that other one. The other one, where they at? Yeah, with that one. This, I've got like a set of these. And I got that right there on the back of it where you can hang it on a wall. Okay. I've got a set of those. A good set too, of all different kinds. Oops, where'd he go? Oh, flip it up. Okay. And I'd like to say, if you're watching this, I'm hoping you are, that if you have any old CD cases, like the old jewel cases, you know what I'm talking about? Right there, if you have any and you don't want them, I could definitely use them. They'd be put to good use. Because then I could put pictures like this. I could put CDs in there like that, to protect them. If you want to know how to send them to me, I can give you my address. And they, like I said, they'll be put to good use. And too many is never enough. Okay. That's just part of them that I've done. And I've got more. See, I'm hoping they're all together here. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so I'll put those right there. And here's the other two I got out of that set. And if you have maybe any pictures that I could do something like this with that you want done, I'll be glad to do them for you. So that's my CD craft I got going. Well, the ones I've been painting all by hand ain't turning out like I want them, but some of them did, some of them didn't. And here's some more that I painted by hand. Right here. All by hand. With some extra stuff I had. Here's another one I did by hand without the spinner. And this one right here is with a spinner. Right there. That's what a spinner can do. Okay. Another one. That's why I said them other ones that wasn't looking too good. This is what I'm looking for. So if you happen to have any old paint, you know, craft paint, stuff like that, it can be a half bottle, it can be a little bit, whatever works. You know, if you don't want it, you don't use it, and need somebody somewhere for it to go, I'll be glad to have it, because I can do stuff like this. This is just a short collection of what I've got. I mean, got done so far. When I get into my crafts, I like to go for a full line. I mean, just go with it, you know? I'll redo that one too. I ain't got enough on it. But yeah, and fingernail polish. Fingernail polish works just as good for other things that I'm working on. And so forth. Put all these back. Okay. Like I said, that's just a small scenario I got going to that. So now I've got me a play toy that I can use that'll take less time for me to do what I need to do for my CD. And I'll show you what it is. I told you I went to the thrift store. I was on a mission, and God knew the mission I was on, so He helped me get what I needed. Since I started my CDs, I looked online and seen how people were doing them with a spinner, a salad spinner. So I said, aha, okay, that works even better. Because the way I was doing them, it just didn't work out, like I was looking for. So this right here is a salad spinner, okay? And it works off air, which is really cool. And that, let me take the CD out. The thing in the middle, right there, I put on there because I had to have a way for it instead of it sitting dead on the bottom. Instead of it sitting flat on the bottom where I can't get it after it's wet and drying. So I come up with a milk jug lid and a cutting off your Christmas lights. And it's the round where you thread another line of Christmas lights on. So we threw a bunch of them away, and I thought, well, this might work real good. So I glued the bottle cap, the milk jug lid to the basket, and I glued the other part on top of it. So that way, the CD sits right on that white thing, and then it spins, okay? And then I can take my hands on the side. I still got finger room. I can grab it, lift it off while it's drying. Of course, I will get a little bit of paint on me, but that ain't no biggie while you wear gloves. Then you set that down in there just like so. And thank God this runs off air and not electricity. Okay. And you hit it one time, and we'll see if you can see how fast this thing runs. It runs pretty fast. And long, too. And what you hear is the air. Okay. Now, I don't think, let me see if I can get it going. And then, see. So, it runs pretty fast. And that little black button, okay, I can spin it and do it like that and stop it. Of course, the CD will still be spinning, but hey, it ain't wobbly all over the place. So that's one toy I got. Okay, that's to do the CDs with. I'd like to have the big one. I call it the notebook CD holder. Okay, it's sort of like this one, but it's notebook size. Okay, which holds a lot more. I got this, holds 112 CDs, DVDs. Excuse me. And I got it $5, but I'd like to find a big one, like I did for my homemade CDs I got. But this would be a start of the CDs I got, and to put in there that I do for display for when I set up at the Bean Fest or like on a corner or kind of sort of like a yard sale or something like that, and try and sell them for a couple of bucks a piece, depending on how many they buy or whatever. So that does that. This right here There's a blanket, and Brutus is dead up in my way. Okay, let me see if I can get it right here. Make sure it ain't upside down. There it is. Okay. That right there, I'm thinking, even though it's a blanket, of making curtains out of it. I think that would be awesome. Okay. So if I step back, maybe you can see the full detail of it. I mean, it's big enough I can make curtains with it, you know, or just one big one for a background instead of what I got, which I think is pretty cool, which I think is what I'll do with this. And it's long enough and wide enough. It's a cool background. Okay. And that's my toys for the day. So, now that I've got my salad spinner, and a start of my CDs that I make in here, okay, which I think is awesome. But I will find the notebook CD holder. That I will do. Because I am on a mission, and God knows when I'm on a mission, He helps me solve that mission. So, let's see. All right, I'm trying to get all the animal ones out first. So anyway, that's what we got going. And I've got to buy me some more CDs so I can finish up what I started, because this ain't going to be enough. And go from there. And I will make me some more tonight and go from there. So yeah, pretty cool. That's my video for the day, and I will holler at you guys later. Thanks for listening. Sorry it was so long. I hope you still listen, but hope you enjoyed it, and I will holler at you guys later. Love you. God bless. Bye.